Welcome to another episode of Mexican in the Kitchen. This is one of those recipes that everyone has their own version and they add or remove things. Cauliflower is one of those ingredients that you can add if you like. You can skip it if you don't like it. But in case you do like it, then it is a perfect addition, because it will soak up all the flavors of the vinegar, the chilies, and it will become a really nice snack. This is really simple. I would recommend cutting the cauliflower into small bites. So it's small enough that you can just take one into your mouth, but big enough that you can take it with a toothpick maybe. We don't want to cut it too small, because otherwise it will just get lost between all the other things. Once you're done, put it aside and we'll use it later. For this recipe, we also need some carrots, and you can cut it however you like. Some people like the carrots even better than all the other ingredients or the chiles themselves. You can cut normal slices, you can cut it, as in this case, with a bit of an inclination. I think it looks a bit nicer. In case your carrots are a bit too thin, like in this case, you can also just cut them into strips. All this depends on how you like it. I like the carrots in slices, and then you can put them into a sandwich quite easily. If you like the strips, maybe you like them a bit as a snack that you can grab with your fingers and eat. It's up to you. For this recipe, I'm using about 1 kilo. But of course, this recipe is completely up to you. You can use the quantities and the ingredients you prefer or you like the best. You can completely skip the chilies. You can add some chilies. You can add way more chilies, less carrots. You can add other ingredients as mushrooms or whatever you prefer. When you are done cutting your carrots, you set them aside and we'll continue. Now I'm going to add some onion. I'm using 2 large onions. I cut them in half and I'm going to remove the center. This will make it very easy for me to just slice everything, and this will give me really nice onion strips. The center you can either remove or you can chop it into strips later, and you will get these really nice, really easy strips. These onions absorb all the taste from the jalapeños, from the vinegar, and they are really nice to put on sandwiches, on hot dogs, hamburgers, whatever you prefer. Once you're done, again set them aside and we'll use them later. Right now I have some water boiling. It's on a 3 or 4 out of 6 on the stove, so medium high fire. I'm gonna throw all my carrots in there, and I just wanna make them a bit soft, not too soft. I don't want them to become a puree later. So you'll boil them around 5 or 8 minutes. Just keep an eye on them, make sure they don't get too soft. Now it's time to cut our jalapeños, and we have several options for that. One option is to cut them as the nacho jalapeños you can buy on a can or on a jar. Here in Europe, that's probably the most common way to find them. Another option is just cutting the stem off and then slicing our jalapeno into small strips. In Mexico, this presentation is quite common. You can find them on a can like this, and people use these to just put them inside a sandwich, inside a hot dog. The third option would be to just cut the jalapeno in half, turn it around, cut it in half, so you would get 4 strips out of each chili. This is the same as the strips, but if you like spiciness, then probably you want bigger pieces. The last option is doing nothing with your chilies. Don't even cut the stem off, because it will be easy for you to just take them from there. For me, that's the nicest way. You can also find them in cans like that in Mexico. And if you want to make some stuffed chilies with maybe some cheese, some beans, or tuna fish, you can use this recipe and continue from there. After around 7 minutes, my carrots are not crunchy anymore, but they're not too soft. So I'm going to remove the water and just let them here. I will rinse them a bit with cold water so the cooking stops, and I will reserve them because I'm not going to use them for a while. I have my pan on a 3 or 4 out of 6, so medium high fire. I'm going to add some canola oil and I'm going to add my onion. I'm going to keep an eye on my onion. I'm going to keep mixing from time to time, just make sure it doesn't burn. I want to get my onion to the point where it changes color and it becomes a bit see-through. As you can see, my onion has changed color now. For this, I have a pot on the back of the stove. The stove is off on that side. I'm going to start throwing all my ingredients which are ready there. We will start cooking with that pot later, but since getting our ingredients ready will take a while, we don't want to start the heat on it. On the same pan where we cooked our onion, now I'm going to throw the cauliflower. Cauliflower gets cooked quite quickly. Be careful not to burn it, because then it will become a bit bitter. After a while, you will notice you start getting some spots where it starts getting charred, it starts getting this golden brown color. At that point, it's already enough. We just want to give a bit more flavor, so we will throw it into the same pot. On the same pan, at the same temperature, I will add the jalapeños now. For the jalapeños, we want to burn the skin a bit. You will start noticing how it changes color It changes the texture. If your jalapeños start getting dry or charred and you think it's too much, you can take them out and throw them into the pot. But especially when you are using the whole jalapeños, don't worry if the skin starts to get a bit charred. It will start smelling beautiful and this will give a lot of flavor. After a few minutes you can see some charred spots on the jalapeños. This smells really nice. It's also a bit too much, so make sure you open your windows, you have a bit of a nice airflow. And I think these jalapeños could take even a bit longer, but we can already take them and throw them into our pot. Once again, I'm taking the same pan, same temperature, and I'm throwing a whole peeled garlic. Some people just cut a garlic horizontally and throw it in, but I think this is nicer because if you like garlic, you can also eat them after they have been pickled. If you don't think you like garlic like that, then it doesn't matter because it will still give a lot of flavor. Just like with all the other things, we want to give garlic a bit of color. We want to burn it a bit from the sides, and when it's ready, then we'll take it out and throw it into our pot. This is how our pot looks now. It's really nice, it smells beautiful, and it's time to season everything. I will start with some ground black pepper. In addition to that, I will just take some whole black peppers and throw them in there. I will add some salt. Don't be afraid of using salt, it doesn't really matter, it will taste great. Next, I'm going to add a handful of bay leaf. Bay leaf gives a lot of flavor and you cannot overdo it, so just throw a handful, it will be beautiful. And just to finish everything, I will throw a handful of oregano. If you don't love oregano, you can skip it, but I recommend to use a bit of it because it will give a really nice touch. Now we need our liquid, and for that I'm going to use some white vinegar. Now, I have told you that the quantities don't really matter in this recipe, you can use as many ingredients as you want. So at this point you might be wondering, how do I know how much liquid I need for this? The water-vinegar ratio you need is 1:1. So basically what I do is I grab a small glass, I fill it with vinegar and throw it in, then I will fill the exact same glass with water and throw it in. And I will just do 1 and 1, 1 vinegar, 1 water, 1 vinegar, 1 water, until all my ingredients have been covered. At this point, I'm just going to move my pot to the fire again. My stove is still on a 3 or 4 out of 6, so medium high fire. I'm going to close the lid and cook for 15 to 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, our jalapeños should be ready. You will notice the green has changed, they're a bit darker. These are beautiful, they taste really nice already. The smell is amazing. Around 5 minutes in, the whole house started smelling a bit like this vinegar. You can tell they're really close to being ready. Right now, you could already eat them, but what I'm going to do is take them out of the fire and just let them cool down for a bit, then put them in some jars. After a while, this has cooled down enough so I can start to throw everything into a jar. This kind of jalapeños you will find all over Mexico. They're really common. They're used as a snack in some bars. They are used to eat with sandwiches, with pastas, with some main dishes, with steak, with chicken. Basically, a lot of people eat them with everything, maybe with some soup. It's the kind of thing that we always had at home, and we always have either homemade or these store-bought cans with these kind of jalapeños. They're really nice. I would say that for some homes in Mexico, these kind of peppers are a bit like pickles in Europe, that you can find them everywhere and everyone has eaten them or eats them regularly. Now my jars are full. I try to use all the liquid and cover them all the way up so everything will be preserved for longer. If you keep them in the jar on the fridge, these will last for a few months. They are quite nice. The nice thing with these jars is that you can personalize them. You can add spring onions, you can add maybe some champignons, you can add more carrots, less carrots, more jalapeños, whatever you prefer. They could even be a nice gift. So I hope you liked the video. Press like, subscribe, all those kind of things. Try it at home, activate the bell, and see you in the next one.